I'm going to show you today how to make a really simple but elegant friendship bracelet or beaded bracelet. And I'm making this for somebody very, very special who's currently not very well, and I want to cheer them up a little bit. Now, I do have somewhere, oh, I've just seen it. I was going to say I do have somewhere, but I've been looking for it for about an hour, a macrame board, which makes life a lot easier. But if you haven't got a macrame board, then what you can do is quickly make something that's going to hold your cord. Now, I'm going to show you how to make it now because I was going to anyway. So all I've got is one of these little clips. I've taken that bit off and I want that to hang slightly over there. I've got a screw and a washer here, and all I'm going to do is screw that onto there so that holds that nice and tight. There we go. So that's on there like that. And now I need to pop my arms back in. So they're back in, and I'll put them around the wrong way. Take my arms back out again. And they need to go on that way. There we are. So we've got that on there nice and tight. And then all you need to do is pop your bit of string through there, leaving quite a tail. And then you've got something you can pull on like that. You don't need that to be really heavy, but if you wanted to put a block on there or something, or a clamp to stop that moving, then you can do that. But now I've found my board, I can use that. Now I'm going to be using my own beads in this. And when I say my own beads, these are beads I've made with my lamp work or my torch work. And I've made lots of different types of beads. In fact, this is just a sample of some of them I make. Now, I don't use my torch work on the channel because it can be dangerous if you're not sure what to do. I went on a course a while back and I'm not brilliant, but I'm confident enough that I don't burn myself very often. You'll burn myself though. Out of all the beads I've made, I'm going to be using these ones. Now, I will list some beads for you in the description below if you want to have a go at this. Honestly, it's worth having a go at. It is so easy to do. Let's move all these out the way. Now, so my beads don't keep rolling around, this is an ideal time for me to use my new things that I made on my other channel. And these are brilliant. I love them. I've used them so much recently. And they make such a massive difference when you're doing your jewellery. You can put all your different bits and pieces in them. If you want to know how I make them, I'll link that video after this one if it's come out. I'm not sure if it's even out yet. And here's a necklace I made before using my own beads. I just thought I'd quickly show you that. I made the beads. I also made the chainmail bracelet as well. And if you'd like to know how to make some chainmail bracelets or chainmail chain like this, then let me know in the comments and I'll do a video on it, because it is actually a lot easier than you think. I do mine watching television. And I'm going to make something that's very similar to this sort of design, but in cord. So the first thing I need to do is cut myself some cord, and I need 40 centimeters to start with. So it's not a great deal of cord. So it's only that much. And that should be about 12 inches if you're not using centimeters. And now I've measured 12 centimeters, what's that, about 6 inches off there. And now that's what I want to have hanging over my mat, like that. Tuck that under there. And now I've got my first cord. And the next cord I need is the same colour, and I want about 110 centimeters of this. And this is dark blue satin thread, 1mm thick, and not the 2mm one. You can use the 2mm one, but I actually prefer this for this type of job. And now all we need to do is find the middle of that, like that, and fold that in half. There we go. So we've got that nicely folded in half now. And now what we want to do is create a square knot on this. So actually, I'm going to work possibly the other way round on this board. Yeah, I'm going to work this way round actually, because that way I haven't got as far to reach. So when you do a square knot, you want to take your loop like this, pop it under there, then you cross those over like that, and then you bring this one through that loop there and tie it off like that. And then to do a follow-up, what you do is you bring that one over there like this, so it's over the top of this strand. You bring that one over there like this, which was the top strand there, over there like that, and then you put it under this one. So then you'll get another loop. Keep trying to keep it nice and tight together. And then you've got a balanced knot then. You could tighten that off if you want, like that. There, that makes it a little bit easier, but then it's a little bit more fiddly to get under there. But it might be easier if it's the first time you're doing it. So now I've done that twice that side, what I'm going to do is push this up here, because that knot will slide now nicely, like that. And then I'm going to work from this side, doing exactly the same. So going on over, crossing it over like that, and then going up through here, tightening that off. There we go. And now I can go again back from this side, up and over and under, through there, like that. Pull it up there to there. And then I'll go from this side, and you're just building up a few stitches here. Back again, and under those, through that loop. Pull that tight. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches there now, I think. And that should be enough. If you want more, you can have more. If you want less, you can have less. It's entirely up to you. But I think that's going to be enough. So now what I need to do is thread my beads onto this center cord, because we're going to be needing those in a minute. And if you're not sure how it worked, if it was going a little bit too quick, then just go to settings on YouTube and slow it down to 0.5 and watch the stitches. That's what I do if I'm learning something new, or if I want to check something over a couple of times and it's going too fast for me, then I just slow it right down. Really helps. Or I pause it. Now I might not, like I said, I might not use all these beads, but I'm having them all on there to start with because I think that's useful. I'm going to pop that down there, and they're all there on there nice and tight. And then this is an even easier stitch, because all you need to do is go over like that, over this one, over the top of this one, and then go through it like that. And then work it down into there, okay, like that. And then on the other side, you go over the top again, under and through. And then you've got that bead locked in there nice and tight. And if you wanted to, you could do one of these types of stitches in between, like this. So you go in that side, like that, and then that side. And then that will give you a little spacer in between the beads. So I'll show you what that looks like. And that looks quite nice that way. I'll do a couple like that. And then you can go back to your other stitch. There we go. So you've got a little stitch in between each bead. And I quite like that design. And these are roughly 6mm beads, by the way, that I try and make. Or you can just have that stitch on there like that, and then bring your next bead up, and then they're really close together like that. Or you can mix it up. So I've got two that are close together like that, and then two at either end that aren't close together like that. Just makes it a little bit more fancy smancy. So there we go. That's different ways you can do it. Now I'm going to quickly undo this because I want it all in one method. And they're easy to undo. All you do is pull your cords out like this, and then unknot your cords. Pop my beads back on. And I think 5 is probably going to be enough. I'm not sure. No, see, I think I'll put one more on. And then I'm going to continue this one with the double knots in between. And this is a really easy, simple macrame stitch. There are so many out there that you can do so many different things with. And there we go. I've got that there. So again, I'm going to put my single stitch either side. That locks it in nicely. And now I'm going to do my square knot stitch, which is across there and over and under. Next bead, lock that in, and then a square knot, which is over, and then under the main bit. So that over there, that one over the top of that one, this one under those and through that loop. And before I go any further, I'm going to actually see how big that is, because the person I'm making this for has got quite tiny wrists. So I'm only going to add one more bead on it. And this time I'm going to do 6 of these to match up my other one, to match up this side. 3. Now what we want to do is take that off completely, and you've got your 3 strings here hanging down there like that. So now you've got that off, what you want to do is find your middle cord again, and then wrap that under your fingers so it's up and beside that middle cord like that. So you've got your middle cord here, you've got this one here, and then you've got these 2 that you've been doing your knots with either side. And then you can clamp this down using a clamp. Make sure you've still got your 2 outside cords here available for you. There we are. So now you've got this one here, you've got this one here, and you've got these 2 either side. And then all we're going to do is some more of those square knots. So we'll keep that there like that. I'm going to go across there like that. That one over there, under there, and then pull that over those 2 strings. So this time we'll go over that way, over that one, under those 2, and through, and we'll pull those ones. We'll do a 3rd one, we'll do a 3rd one, a 4th one, 5th one, and a 6th one. And we'll just do a couple more, so the slip bit is a bit longer. So we're nearly done. I'm going to just do a few more. I've got a larger piece there. And then once I've done this one, I'm going to show you another brilliant way of doing this type of bracelet. So I think that's probably enough now. And now I've got my 2 middle strings and then I've got my 2 outside ones. Now make sure this stage you don't mix them up. It's really, really important, because what I'm going to do is pull those quite tight and then cut them short, like that sort of length. Now we don't want these unwrapping, so because this is nylon cord, what we can do is we can just mount the tips of that like that and push that in. There we go. And that now should tighten up by pulling those 2 cords, or loosen up by pulling that one. And then we tighten it up or we loosen them. But obviously if we pull it too much, what's going to happen is this is going to pull through there, and we don't want that to happen. So we need to stop that from happening. So what I'm going to do is cut both my cords so they're the same length now that I've got left there. And now I'm taking 2 smaller beads here that I've made, and I'm going to thread those on the end. So all I need to do now is pop that one on there like that, tie a little knot, and that's not going to go through there at all. And then again, melt that end. So that is nicely melted. That knot isn't going to go anywhere, and that is now on there permanently. Do the other one exactly the same. And now we've got those 2 on there. We can pull this apart, and it is apart now like that. That'll fit on my friend's wrist, I hope. And then when we want to tighten it up, we just need to pull one, and then that will tighten up like that. So again, pull those, and we've got them nice and tight. And then you've got just the 2 bits that are dangling down there. And that's for my fairy god sister. I'll be sending that off to her very soon. Now I'm going to show you another one that works out and looks really, really pretty. For this one, I'm going to be using these beads. And all I need to do is take them off my wire. And this is all I use this for, is to keep my little sets together when I make them. Now I'm only going to need 1 of the large ones, that one, and 2 of the smaller ones for this. And these sell really well as well. And for this one, because it's got some yellow in it, I think this might look quite nice with some silver instead. I'm also going to put a silver bead in between them as well. So they're my end caps I want. There we go, I've got 2 little silver beads. For this one, I'm cutting off a piece of, and this will be more than I need, but I'll show you how much I'm going to cut off. So I'm kind of a bit more than I need to show you. So I'm doing 120 centimeters in there like that. And now I'm going to cut that in half. So I've got 2 completely separate threads. And then what I want to do is thread these through the beads like this. So I've got that one on there now. I've chosen some larger ones, and these fit quite well. These are silver, but they've also got a really big hole to them. So that's going on next. Then my smaller glass bead, and then my end. You don't need to finish off with these ends if you don't want, or if you haven't got any, you could just finish off with the beads. I'm having trouble getting that through, so I'm just going to mount that end like that to give me a bit of leverage, and then that'll push through there much easier. You could thread it on a needle if you wanted to. That'd be so much quicker to thread it on a needle, but who has time to go find a needle? Well, now we've got those all threaded on, all we need to do is do exactly the same the other side. So now we've got our beads on there where we want them. We need them in the middle. Pull my 2 ends together like this and slide these down so they're now roughly in the middle. So what I'm going to do here is a slightly different way of doing it. So I've got my 2 strings down here, and this one, the one that's on the left, I'm going to bring over to the right like that. So it's going over this right one. And now I'm going to tuck it under these 2 here like that. So I've got that loop there. And then with this one here that's hanging down here, I'm going to go under that one and through that loop there, and then pull those together like that. And now I'm going to do the same again. So I'm going back round with this one, under those two like that. So I've got a little loop there. This bit is going under there, under that one, and then through that loop I've got there. And then that will give me that shape again. And then I'm going to pull those tight like that. And then I'll repeat that probably 2 more times. So I've got so I've got 4 of those stitches in there. So I'll show you one more time. Over there like that, under those 2. So you've got a loop there. Bring this one round, under that one, and back through that loop. And then just pull it tight. If you don't get it the first time, like I said, just slow the video down and you'll get it really easy. Turn my voice off, because if not you'll be going, and you don't want that, do you? So going over this one, under the 2 of them, hold this one in this finger, under there, over the top, and through that little loop there, and then pull it tight, well, not too tight, line them up, and then you've got that finish to them, which is a really pretty finish. And once you've done that, then you can take that off there like that, turn that around, either clamp it down or put it in your thing, making sure that that is tight against there, because you don't want them moving around. And then do exactly the same thing on this side. Over, under, over, under, over that one, through that one, then take this one, under the one that you're holding, through that loop there, and that gives you one. Pull that nice and tight, so they're not too loose on there. And then repeat 3 more times. Looks like a little rocket when you're doing that. And now we've got our beads attached on there without any problems whatsoever. So now I'm going to show you a different way of making a slip knot. Now you are going to need a bit of straw for this. I wish I'd got a thinner straw, but unfortunately I don't. And you're only going to need a small bit like that. Now what you want to do is make sure you've got enough space between here and here, where you're going to start putting this in. So I'm making this for a fairly smallish person, so I'm only going to go to 9 centimeters here, and then I'm going to grab that like that. So I've grabbed that at 9 centimeters. For someone with a little bit more thicker wrist, you might want to go to 12 or 13. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bit of straw and pop that there, and then I'm going to wrap round it 3 times, and then take these 2 ends here and thread them through it. Thread them through that straw like that. Pull my straw out, pull my ends through, and then you've got a nice little knot on the end there like that. And that isn't going to go anywhere, I promise you. That is on there. That is fastened on there now. I'm going to do exactly the same on this end. I've now got that nice knot on the end there, and I'm going to trim up these ends and melt them down again. And now we're going to make a different type of slip knot for this. So we're going to need another piece of cord, maybe about 1.5 foot in length, 62 centimeters. It's probably bigger than what we need, but that's fine. Now we're going to take our beads like this, and we're going to find roughly the center, and we're going to get them 2 together like that. And now we're going to take our straw, and we're going to put that there like that. So I've got our straw in the middle there. We're now going to put this bit of cord with quite a bit hanging over, because we've got loads here, there like that. And then we're going to wrap this cord around this straw and those other cords underneath. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. We're going to take that, push it through that end like that, and then pull that straw out, and then tighten those all up. Well, a thinner straw works much better because you can get a much tighter knot on there, but you have to use what you use. And now what I'm going to do is cut these threads off short again. Move these ones out of the way so I don't melt them as well, and give them a melt onto there. And then that knot's on there completely, like that. And then you can extend that knot however you like. That would even fit me now. And then hold those knots together, pull them in a little bit tighter, and then you've got a nice bracelet. If you wanted to, you could put beads on those, but sometimes people don't want the beads dangling off, and then you've got a lovely little friendship bracelet that looks like that. So I could make these two. I could probably make these two in about 20 minutes if I wasn't recording. And then you've got this one here. That's never going to fit me. And that will just pull tight like that. Or you can have it as loose as you want to have it. I'm going to box these up and send them on their way. And hopefully they're going to put a smile on my lovely fairy godsister's face. Homemade beads, homemade bracelets, and really easy to do. If you want to learn more about using cord and how to do some really simple kumihimo, and they make brilliant bracelets, then I'll link a video after this that will be really helpful for you. I do it step by step, and again, it's so easy to follow. I hope you've enjoyed that. Boot the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your crafting. Take care. Bye.